Good evening, Hobby World. Thanks for joining us for live tonight for episode 44 of Personal Rips and Hobby Chat. Joining me tonight, as always, is Ken from Beans B Card Blog, and I'm Herman, aka 3B Collections. We are here every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern to talk about our hobby and yours. Feel free to join in the chat, or join into the conversation in chat. I am tired. and out of practice. We missed a week. But
yeah, that's on me. My bad.
Well, no, I mean I had to work too, so that's
Well, not really my bad. It was so those who know, I had a about 1 a.m. Monday morning because I was still awake, so I heard it and ended up waking up my wife. We had a tree out back, and it is apparently dead. And one of the huge limbs came down, took out our cable wire, and was really close to taking out our power line too. So. Ooh. Yeah. We found out later. Yeah, we found out that the one was the power line. So thankfully, it kind of got hung up. So now they're hopefully gonna come out and take this tree down soon. They were supposed to come out and get an estimate Friday, and it's now Monday. But you know how that goes.
How close was the tree to your house? Was it pretty close, or was it like in the next neighbor's yard?
Honestly, it probably missed our bedroom by 5 or 6 feet.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. That's that's what terrifies me about trees. And I know, like around my place, we have the closest trees to our house is maybe 40 foot, and they're like the Bradford pear trees. And I keep them trimmed heavy just for that reason. That is like why my worst nightmare is having a tree hit your house or a power line or anything.
Yeah, it was a walnut tree. So I mean, it's not even where any of the limbs I could have even. I've got just a little electric chainsaw. I don't have like a full steel brand gas powered or anything. But yeah, I couldn't even get those branches off with what I got because I'm sure as hell not getting up on a ladder with a chainsaw.
About 3 years ago. I can't even remember what the hurricane was, but it hit the coast of, I think, Florida and South Carolina, and was supposed to come up inland toward, our area, and was supposed to have been still a category 1 hurricane by the time it got here. And everybody was freaking out. I was one of them. I freaked out too, but I got in my backyard with a pole saw and was like climbing up in the pear trees. It was anything that was leaning anywhere close to the house. I'm like, it's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. Mm-hmm. I spent all day on a Saturday in my backyard with my daughter. She was dragging limbs like a champ. At like 8, 9 years old, she was dragging limbs as I cut them down, and we had a big pile of limbs. And by the time it got here, it wasn't nothing more than a springtime storm. It was nothing.
Hey man, that's the kind of stuff it ain't worth messing with though. Better safe than sorry on that. Exactly. For sure.
All right, let's see. We got Bo with us. So welcome, George, Ed, Mark, and Diego just jumped in. Welcome, guys. Glad you could join us. We didn't have a whole lot to talk about tonight other than I think we said we was going to talk about the National Baseball Card Day and the Dallas Card Show that was kind of under the radar this week.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't a extravaganza up in Allen. This was just a little 2-day show, like 100 tables. It's still the same thing. I mean, he still calls it the Dallas Card Show.
Oh, so okay. So
yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the big one. It's got like 600 tables. This was much more small local one. So still hopping. Don't get me wrong, it was still hopping.
Was it in the same location?
No. The show up in Allen at the convention center, which is like, I mean, from where I am, it's like about an hour away. It's way up north Dallas. This was actually just over in still technically in Fort Worth. It's like Fort Worth, Irving, kind of borderline. We were right up there by like where Panini's offices are. But it's like a 30-minute drive from here at most.
I got you.
So a lot closer to me. So good me. I went up with Gary, who's been in the chat before. Elbow sausage.
Elbow sausage. Okay.
It's got something to do with his dogs. He was telling me what it was. I was like, I don't know what the hell it is, but just go with it. Yeah, so we went up to that, but yeah, it was still we got there right at the beginning, and it was, it wasn't too terribly busy, and then I think we headed out finally around, I don't know, maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, and it was hopping. Ran into Brad. Brad was there, Texas Car Dude, and then ran into Steph and Angela. So as y'all know, Junk Wax Twins on Twitter, and then over on About the Cards. They literally were coming in as we were walking out. So yeah, ran into those two as well.
And I'm down here in the little podunk town of Hartwell, Georgia, and I don't see nobody. So
nobody on YouTube at least. Yeah, it was. I got a little retail therapy. Spent a whole $6 on myself. Was it another table when I tweeted about this today? Come on, people, price your damn cards if you're setting up at a card show.
Right.
So I picked through a couple boxes, and I guess I should have known, because there was a kid that he was dealing with, and he just kept looking at his phone. Doesn't price anything, so you just have to sit there and wait on everything. So I hand him I hand him like 8 cards. He's going through, and he's comping them and all this, and then one of them he comps, and so to further kind of on his table. I mean, he's a nice guy, so I don't want to talk too badly, but like, he's just got stuff thrown in monster boxes. One of the cards was one that was, I think it was probably like a $30 or $40 card. It was in a box, didn't even have a sleeve. Didn't even have a sleeve. He's got beat up cards in there, cards numbered out of 25 that are just thrown in a monster box. It's pretty awful. And the only reason I wanted this one was one of the old like Donruss threads, probably from like 15 years ago, was a Bulldog Turner and Sid Luckman relic. Well, I kind of have a small Bulldog Turner collection, so I was interested in it if it was beat up. I mean, it's one of those cards where if it's beat up, that's okay as long as the price is consummate with it, because I'm just getting it because it's a relic card. I'm not getting it to grade or flip or anything like that. So if it's got a dinged up corner, I'm good, because that means I should get it cheaper. But yeah, this guy, I mean, he has all kinds of stuff, and like there were the monster box. There were some cards that were like sitting in the bottom of it, sideways turned, like underneath the divider. It just awful.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've noticed. Like when I went to Spartanburg to the car shows, and the people that doesn't have their stuff priced. I mean, you've got dollar boxes, quarter boxes. I mean, you know what those are. That's that's a gimme. That's a gimme. But display cases and stuff like that, nobody has anything priced. At least put. I don't care if it's twice the price. Put a price on it. Give a starting point. If I look at it and I was like, well, that card's not worth $20, would you take 12 or 10 or whatever? At least put a starting point on there. I get that you don't want to price your stuff because you don't want to leave something on the table or whatever, but give a starting point.
But I mean, my thing on this is, it got to a point where I got annoyed, and I basically just was like, okay, I'm done with this. So for example, one card was a Stan Mikita relic card numbered out of 7. That's not a card that's going to go up or go down because it's a scarce card. You should already know what you ideally want for that.
Right.
I don't get it. And like I said, I mean, there's cards in there numbered out I think I saw a Jerry Rice numbered out of 49 or 75 that wasn't even in a sleeve. It was just in the box. Then with cards that got bloated or sleeved or whatever. It was just, I mean, it is, as George said, they're terrible. I mean, it really Really was really frustrating. And I just kind of got to where, I said, so I was kind of like, okay, let me think on it. And then he kind of, as I was walking away, quoted me another price, and probably was a good price, but I was just like, at that point, I was just kind of disgusted. I'm like, you've got so much stuff. I don't understand why your stuff isn't sleeve. You've got autograph cards. Like, there were two WVU player autograph cards in there. The corner beat the hell. I mean, honestly, he pretty much should have just given them to me, because nobody was going to pay anything for those. I was just kind of interested. I figured I was almost getting them as a throw in, but I just, like I said, I eventually just walked away.
Right. There you go.
I mean, the guy would make more money, because you can't tell me there aren't dozens of other people like me that are just walking away. They're just looking at that, and it's just like ridiculous.
Yeah, Diego says he's like a flea market guy just to get the table.
Well, I know a little bit about the guy. I know he's a card guy. Like I said, he definitely wasn't. It wasn't one of, just like some guy that just found a bunch of cards. I think that's what makes it worse, honestly.
Right.
Like, he has set up at other shows before and all that. It's just, like I said, it was just super frustrating, because I had to sit there. I had to wait on 15 minutes for him to deal with the other kid, then to get my prices and all these things. And I'm like, you also should kind of know what you got into these already.
Right.
You should be able to kind of flip through them and go, boom. If you're not gonna, if you don't know the prices on them, or if you're going to not put prices on them, you need to kind of have a ballpark in your head of what you want. Yeah. Because it was, like I said, there was a Stan Mikita relic, numbered out of 7. It had like 5 relic pieces on it. There was the Bulldog Turner dual jersey card, dual relic card, and then just a bunch of other, like a couple other small things. But I was like, and I've bought off of him before, because I bought some graded pre-war cards off of him before. But yeah, not gonna bother going through those boxes anymore. And I know that things are fluctuating and whatnot, but is it really worth trying to squeeze every last dollar out by not pricing, and then losing people as they're walking by because you don't have prices on any of this stuff? You don't even have these cards in soft sleeves to keep the corners from getting done. I mean, I guess it works for him, because he can, you know what I mean? I mean, he's setting up, so I guess something's working. But I don't understand.
Yeah. And speaking of, like I said, Diego brought the flea market. I found out, in fact, last week, my son had told me that there's a flea market about 45 minutes away from here that used to be a pretty big place for pretty much everything. And I remember back in the 90s, I went there several times trying to get rid of some just overstock that I had left from when I shut the store down. And like, cards was booming. It was like 9 or 10 people selling cards on every aisle. They were everywhere. I went back last year, which at the end of when things kind of died down from the COVID, and there was nobody there at all selling cards. But I found out last week that there's about 7 or 8 back. So I think I'm gonna go try to hit them up in the next couple of weeks and just kind of see what's there and what they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that is a good alternative for guys like you and me that don't set up with any consistency. Bo's got his thing going, and he sets up at those shows, but it's hard to go into those places and pay $50, $75, $100 for a table when you're just selling like excess stuff you have. You don't have a whole lot of high dollar stuff. You don't have a ton of inventory. So flea markets, ideally would seem like a good way. I know that Shep from About the Cards at one point, he had tweeted, this was months and months, maybe last year, he had tweeted about considering this something I've thought of, almost doing like a garage sale, but basically just setting up with cards.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe having a couple other guys set up too. Like here, you have to I live in Arlington city limits, so you have to get a permit. I think you can get 3 a year. But yeah, so basically just set up as a yard sale. There's no fee for that. You just have to get a permit.
Right.
So that's a little more feasible, when you're only going to sell $50-$60 worth of card. And then saw Sports Card Radio on YouTube. Was they had an outdoor card show somewhere out near where he lives. So it was basically just to look like a bunch of people set up like in a parking lot. They had their, the little tents over them and all that. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a pretty good idea. I'd definitely be interested to learn a little bit more about that. Like, do you have a promoter? Is it something, how much do you pay? Is it just, it looks like it was just kind of in a parking lot, but there was a bunch of people there. Definitely interested to understand that a little bit.
It's kind of like a fall festival type deal, or arts and crafts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Because I've thought about those around here, like when they do like little, basically like antique. That's another word, I guess, but you know what I mean. Like where you got multiple people setting up and selling and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and that's perfect for what I was going to talk about next. I've kind of put it out there that the guy that opened the I keep calling it LCS, but he really does more of a he's more of a collectible on the Funko and toy side, but he also has cards. I mean, he's collected cards as long as I've known him. We both collected back in high school, but he did about a month ago, 3 weeks ago or so. He did a Pokemon trade night, and he had a huge turnout for that. And I approached him about doing a trade nights for sports cards, and he's totally on board with it. Which we're trying to kind of hash out what we want to do, how we want to do it. He's actually got he even mentioned that he's got a parking lot like right next to his store that he has access to doing like whatever he wants, and that's kind of the way we're leading is doing like what you're saying, where bring your stuff, set up a tent, set up a table, just but it being more like a trade night, not like a card show. Come in, expect to trade, bring what you have to trade, and look for what you want. So we're trying to work that out. And I'm hoping we do it pretty soon, because I'd be interested in just seeing who is in like around me that actually collects, because besides him and maybe two others, I don't know anybody. So
yeah, that, like you said, that would be a thing. And then he had it. If he had a big event with the Pokemon, then I mean, obviously he's got people coming in and out of the shop, even if they're not necessarily sports cards, but word gets around. I mean, they're similar. They're similar things. Yeah, like I said, if you've got like a parking lot or something where you can do that and not have to pay any rental fee, basically, yeah, just get a bunch of people together and, like you said, just kind of set up in a parking lot, and obviously, hopefully, it doesn't rain today, but set up in a parking lot, almost just kind of do like a pop-up card show, and that is something good that I think for the actual collectors. A dealer that's used to setting up at shows probably not going to interest him.
No,
but somebody that's just trying to move stuff casually, it's
it's like I said, it basically it's going to be treated like a trade night where you come there expecting to trade, not necessarily just sell. So I mean, bring what you have to trade, and if everybody gets together, and I want to be able to throw other stuff into it too, like to entice kids in, and then it's maybe non-collectors that maybe get them interested or whatever. So, and like I said, we got to sit down and kind of hash that out. But we'll make it happen some way or another.
Well, I mean, but you say a trade night, and there's nothing wrong with starting it out that way. But heck, as it looks like now, card shows are trade. You know what I mean? So they're almost in a lot of ways one and the same. It's just the way. It's just the way you word. Like, so I told you I went with my buddy Gary. I don't think he spent any money, but he took stuff and he came away with a couple of ice cream. I guess I should probably say what they were in case he's going to do a video at some point. But yeah, I mean, he came home with a couple of nice cards that he wanted and didn't spend. I don't think he spent a dime in there. Or no, I think he did. I think he bought some little stuff, like some dollar cards and stuff like that. But he didn't spend money on any big cards, but he came away with a couple of graded cards that he wanted. So, and we see on these bigger ones, these videos from these bigger card shows, a lot of it is trade. So it's kind of at this point, that's one thing that's different about the hobby than maybe 2 to 3 years ago, is that there probably is more trading than there was.
Yeah. And like I said, I basically was just, like I said, I approached him about it to just draw out other collectors and see who's out there, because I know that if you're living in the town that I live in and you are a card collector, you at least have your eyes, or you're following him, because he does carry cards. Albeit, I mean, he doesn't have a big selection of singles. He has a few, but I mean, he does carry wax. He does carry packs. So maybe somebody will see it and come out and kind of network and figure out who's in the town that collects. So,
hey, somebody's clearing those Walmart shelves.
Yeah, really.
You probably find that out real quick too.
They definitely are here. Which now, the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've found stuff on the shelves, like a bunch of stuff.
Have you?
I passed up a whole case of Chronicles 2 weeks ago.
Chronicles
football.
Ball.
Yep. Football was on the shelf, like a whole case. There were a few blasters on the shelf, and then there was a whole case on the bottom shelf. I'm like, I almost picked it up. I'm like, no, I ain't gonna do it, because I personally don't know a whole lot about the NFL football and Chronicles, so I didn't want to take a chance, even of being able to get them and get rid of them at cost. I just didn't do it. So,
well, and I mean, when you're doing even when you're doing your breaks, I mean, you're doing it for the fun of it, and baseball's your thing. Football's not your thing, so I mean, definitely understandable.
Yeah. So the trade nights may pick up the card shows where card shows are present. Yeah.
Or learn that, hey, there's more of us around than we thought. Maybe we can do a little card show somewhere. I remember when I was younger, like, you'd have card shows in these random places. Like, every once in a while you'd have one like in a church or something. And I'm like, now they're all in hotels. Well, that means that, they're paying to rent those rooms, and, it's not cheap to set up and all of that. So, maybe, being in a smaller area, y'all can find somewhere that you can do that. And that's kind of why I was talking about the parking lot thing. Like, if somebody is somewhere or works somewhere or attends a church and they say, sure, you can use our parking lot,
Oh, yeah. Yep. But like I said, we'll start it out like it is and just see. I mean, it definitely draw business to him. I think you mentioned that in Twitter. It can benefit him because it'll bring people to his store, and it'll benefit everybody else because you find out who is collecting in the area. Because right now it's kind of like everybody keeps it secret, like, sneak into Walmart on a Thursday afternoon and pick up everything on the shelf and leave and don't tell anybody. So,
yeah, that guy may be the only guy that doesn't show up.
Yeah, whoever shows up with a truck bed full of blasters, we know who he is then.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and that's, like I said, that's kind of died off around here. I mean, it's I really don't think that our Walmart gets any of the basketball like Prism and stuff like that. I don't think they even get it anymore. So they're getting stuff like Top Series 2 and Heritage and Gypsy Queen. So,
I mean, I definitely feel like on Twitter, not that I'm on there a lot less than I used to be. I've really cut down on my online time. I do share, the videos throughout the day as I'm listening while I work, but cutting down that evening and weekend time. But I do feel like when I am on there, I'm seeing, more people, that are able to find some stuff. So I don't, it's not necessarily specific to your location. And I'm sure there's some locations where it's still awful, but, it is slowly to get away, whether it's people are going less often or just they're upping the print runs. I mean, Bo has bought 776,000 mega boxes of Bowman.
Bowman, yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's bought the free world supply. So, maybe they're just printing a little bit more this year. Sorry, Bo.
And they may still be printing it.
I'm pretty sure they still are. There'll be more drops to come.
But yeah, and I don't know. I feel like a lot of that was Target. I mean, because you never heard of the situations that Target had going on at Walmart. It's bad because, for one, personally, I know between the Walmart that we have locally and the Target that's the closest Target to me, which we don't have one in our town, but it seemed like that Target got more product than the Walmart did. So I feel like Walmart just didn't get as crazy as like a Target. So
yeah, it's hard for me to say because the truth is I've only been to a place, Walmart or Target that sells cards maybe 3 or 4 times since last spring. When I go to the Walmart, I've got one of the little neighborhood markets close to me. So when I just need to go get groceries of some sort, that's where I'm going. So they don't even have cards. So yeah, it's hard for me to say what my local situation is. But I think I've seen Steph has found a couple things here and there.
Yeah, Steph finds everything. I think he knows the vendor.
He's got connections.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I didn't mean that in a negative way. I apologize. I did not mean that in a negative way. Just saying he's well known. Everybody knows him around here.
Yeah, if you got it, use it. I mean, that's all you can say. I mean, wish I did.
I'm not out looking for it, so I'm not mad at anybody for doing what they do.
Yeah, I quit about 9 months ago. That's was kind of the way that this whole channel deal started, was picking up retail, just kind of opening it on here and chatting and talking or whatever. And then when retail dried up and you couldn't find it, it kind of got away from that. I think I have an outlet now where I can get a few more. So we may start doing this a little more. So, if it ain't nothing but a hanger or a fat pack or something, just,
Well, and the reality is, I know you don't enjoy football necessarily, but the way that you run your breaks, you're not, you say you don't know football as well. Well, you're not trying to price out every team. You tend to do the, buy a team, get 2 randoms.
Right.
So it's not, you don't necessarily, if you just want to do it just to do it, even if you don't necessarily know the sport super well, it could still be done. Yeah. And it is always fun to open words, no doubt about it.
And I have done a basketball, which I know zero about. And I have to be honest, I did have to Google the divisions and find out what the divisions were. But I did do one. I just that it's funner for me if I know a little something about it.
No, I agree.
Because that was the whole reason for starting it. If I'm opening basketball or if I'm opening football, which now I love football, don't get me wrong, but I'm more of a college football guy. Love college football. Can't wait for September and start getting into Georgia football and all that. But NFL, I not so much. I've back was it 90? God, I can't even remember. Was it 96, 99 that Atlanta choked in the Super Bowl?
That was 99, I believe.
99.
When Jamal Anderson was there?
Yes, when they had like a 20-something point lead and blowed it in the second half. I'm like, you know what? F this.
Well, you'll have to be more specific than that. Didn't they just do that a couple of years ago?
Yeah, they did. They've done it since, but like I said, I've really didn't.
Yeah.
And then there's been some other stuff going on in the NFL that I don't want to be a part of.
No, I got you. I enjoy watching you open hockey cards because I like hearing you try to pronounce the names.
Oh no, I'm not doing it. Gretzky, that's it.
I thoroughly enjoy that. Is a on this break I just watch and listen.
Yeah. So Diego says breaking football could help me learn a bit more than I knew. And it's not that I don't know the players, because like I said, if if as close as I follow, and you follow college football too, you can't follow college football that close and not know the players in the NFL because
at
that's
some level definitely have a top level knowledge.
Right. That's the players that are mentioned every week in college football. Then they go to draft, and then they get drafted by teams. So I mean, the players, but I just, I kind of have a routine now to where I watch college football. I'm talking about all college football, like you. If it comes on TV, I want to watch it. Which I'm really tuned into my school, my team, Georgia football, but I keep up with other stuff too. Once the national championship comes around and it's over, well, NFL, they're like 2 weeks into the playoffs. That's when I start watching NFL.
That's about the only time. So sometimes if there's nothing going on, like around the house on Sundays, sometimes I'll turn it on, especially if it's one of those like, cool fall Sundays, you just feels like football. Sometimes I will have the game on. Sometimes we turn the cow. If there's nothing really we want to watch, we do tend to have the Cowboys game on just because we live here, so we have the Cowboys on. But yeah, I definitely don't follow it with any kind of vigor. And even college football I've gone from a guy that followed year round, recruiting and preseason camp, all those kind of things. But between the greed of conference realignment and the playoff, and now every day there's somebody entering the transfer portal, I don't care that much about college football. I watch the Mountaineer games, and that's about it. Yeah. I've even lost that love of the sport in whole because it's just ridiculous.
Well,
2 years ago, I think I missed 2 or 3 Mountaineer games. Last year I didn't because it wasn't like we could go anywhere. But a couple years ago, yeah, I missed, 2, 3 games.
And now you have what you're talking about, the portal. Now they've passed it to where anybody entering correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard this. Anybody entering the portal, their first transfer, they have automatic immunity where they play the next year automatically.
That's how little I pay attention. I just can't. I don't even know. And then another thing, this whatever it is, the NIL, the licensing. Did you hear about? He's local to us. Actually, my wife's best friend's son played with him last year. He's supposed to be. It sounds like he's gonna skip his senior year of high school. Go to Columbus. Because he can make money off his likeness. Like they're saying he can make like $1 million off his likeness. So he's not going to play And again, maybe this has changed. This was a couple of weeks ago. But he's going to skip. He's the number one quarterback. He's the number one recruit in the country for this coming year. And he's not going to play. He's not going to play his senior year of high school football because of this new rule. He's going to go make the money.
So that basically your sit outs from bowl games has drifted down to high school now. I'm going to sit my senior year out. What should be your best, most memorable year in high school, your senior year, you're going to sit it out, not play, to go to. I guess. I mean,
and how much does that hurt your progress? I mean, you got to play. I mean, you're a quarterback. It doesn't matter what position.
You
need to be playing. You don't need to be sitting your ass on the sidelines. And
so like I said. I'm guessing he's already committed to a school, like
Ohio State. Yeah.
Okay, he's already locked in, so he feels like he don't need to play it that year.
Yeah, and he, like I said, he's the number one. Like I said, he's been the number one player in this class for a couple of years, and they won the. It's going to take a minute. She's going to be working. Stella, somebody's walking a dog outside, but yeah, I mean they won the. Texas State championship this year and all that. So, yeah.
I just don't. I don't know. I guess for some people, I mean, I get it. Everybody's goal is to make NFL. Everybody's goal is to get a full ride at college or whatever. But I don't know. I'm just thinking, your senior year, high school. You've played with these guys you've played with them for 9 years. If you go back to like rec ball and little league or whatever you want to call it, and up through middle school, high school, and you're just going to set out and let them down the last year.
College football is really just a minor leagues. It's not amateur football anymore. It's professional football.
Yeah,
and that's
thinking, but I mean, we're talking about high school right now, though. I mean, you know.
Well, but I'm saying this is because of college football and all of these things and how they've gone, and just that's how college football has lost me. And I used to be a huge college football guy, just a general, like I said, year round, 24/7. There was no off season. There were just different parts of the season. To now, I'm like, well, you know, maybe I'll catch the Mountaineer game. Maybe I won't. Who knows?
Yeah. It's which now it's with this whole NIL deal, it's kind of thrown a kink in that, but and I'll probably get ribbed for this, but I've for a long time I have felt like that if a kid comes out of high school and they get a full ride to whatever school, whether it's if it's a school like West Virginia, Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, whatever, you get a full ride scholarship. Play your 4 years. I mean, it's like going into a contract. You play football for us for 4 years, we'll give you an education.
I don't disagree, but
diploma, everything. So, and this is where I catch it around here when I bring it up. And I'm sure, like I said, there's probably some people in chat that feel different, but I have always felt like if in their junior year they opt out their senior year to go into the draft, well, they go into the draft. If they're good enough to go into the draft their junior year and get drafted, they're going to get paid. They're getting a contract. They're getting drafted. They're going to get paid. They should be made to reimburse the school. And this is where I get the ribbon because everybody's always told me, well, they played for 3 years and they made this money. No, but they basically agreed to play 4 years.
I mean, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know the answer. I get tired of hearing, oh, well, we made you money, blah, 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 blah. Nobody made you go to that school. No. You could have gone. You could have gone somewhere else.
You made the school money, but the school has spent money on you.
No, yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I know what the wrong answers are. I don't know what the right answers are.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm waiting on the comments. I'm waiting on the ribbon. I know I'm gonna get it because I get them around here, and I don't care. That's how I feel. We've had this discussion before. Everybody has an opinion. It don't make it right. It don't make it wrong. It's an opinion.
Unless it's mine, then it's right.
Well, unless it's yours, then it's right. But I mean, that's my opinion, and I'll stick to it. And even with the NIL, I'll definitely stick with it now because what's your reason for leaving going early now? You're making money in college.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you got a good point there. But
so if you're getting a free ride, a free education, a 4-year degree in college, and you're making money, some of them, like you said, they're making millions off their likeness. If it's a quarterback that's like top rated or a wide receiver or whatever, and he's making all this money plus getting a free education, what's your reason for leaving? We'll see. I mean, I'm sure it's going to happen. It's still going to happen.
Yeah, I guess I don't get too fired up over it anymore because they've just college football in general, college sports in general have just lost me. So I used to get fired up over it, and now it's just like, just is what it is.
Yeah.
I'll just go be a fan of the Indy 500. That's what I got left.
Yeah, you're still going to set out meaningless bowl games because you're projected a first round pick. When it's not, it may be meaningless to you, but for the guys on your team that you've played with for 3 years or 4 years, if the ones that stay to the seniors, that may not even have a chance to go in the draft or whatever, it's not meaningless to them.
Me. It's all about them, and it's even going back to the guys that leave early that think they're going to be a first round draft pick and then never even get drafted. so many of those idiots. But what are you going to do?
And I'm laughing at George's comment. I'm not going to put it up here, but
well, actually, I mean, that's kind of where I am. I mean, I don't, I've talked a little on my YouTube channel on my videos, and I've kind of gone through it, and then I've fallen away from it. Now I'm going back to I'm just collecting the old stuff. I'm collecting a lot of this. I still want to get some of the stuff that gives me those feelings because they're the stuff from when I was a kid. And then I like the vintage stuff. I'm just kind of over the modern stuff. I enjoyed watching the Olympics. I can say that much.
Right.
We watched it almost every night. There were a couple nights where there just wasn't anything, that we were too interested in. I don't care about water polo any other time other than every 4 years.
Not even then. I don't. I'm sorry.
I don't know. We can talk offline. Women's water polo. We can talk offline about that. But no, I mean, I don't care about track and field any other time. But I'm still going to watch it because I have that U.S. rooting interest. I mean, some of the things that my wife and I watched this year. I mean, I watched way more archery in the last 2 weeks than I'd watched in my entire life up until now.
I love archery. I watch it every year. I love it.
I enjoyed it. We watched. I think we missed.
I am a Southern Georgia boy that bow hunts, so archery is right there in my alley.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think I missed maybe 4 innings of the women's softball this year. Was it? Enjoy that, and I know that a lot of people have really taken to curling in the Winter Olympics. Yeah, we enjoy that stuff. It's stuff, but I mean the women's softball was way more interesting than any baseball game I've seen in a long time.
Yep,
I was excited about that.
I am glad they brought it back.
Well, it's gone. It won't be at the next Olympics,
and that sucks. I remember when it wasn't the last Olympics. Was it the year before when they had the last one?
I think I don't remember if it was 8 years ago or 12 years ago.
But I remember when they played the last game when all the players came out. It was the gold silver game, and after the game, they all came out and left their cleats on the pitcher's mound because it was kind of significant because it being the last game or something. But I remember watching that game and was wondering why, because that was about the time that women's softball started kind of taking off, and then they pulled it from the Olympics.
Yeah, they only brought back baseball and women's softball this year because it was in Japan and it's such a popular sport over there. They're both gone for the next Olympics apparently. This is what they had said during one of the games, women's softball games, and then there are movements. They're trying to get them back for 2028, but as of now, they won't be there in 2024. And I just want to point out that I was saying women's softball was more interesting than Major League Baseball. I wasn't talking Olympic baseball. Yeah. I'm talking Major League Baseball. It was, but yeah, there's so many things that we watch that we would never watch any other time because we just don't have a lot of interest in it. But when you put that, you put those country colors on, it kind of changes things a little bit. And I guess that's kind of where I am still a little bit with, WVU. They're still my, home state. It's where I grew up, but just as far as watching it, paying attention on an everyday, weekly basis, just not going to do it anymore.
I guess
kind of like the Olympics every 4 years.
Yeah, I guess my favorite Olympic sport would be, which we watched the gymnastics, the women's gymnastics, but that's mainly because of my daughter, because she's kind of into all that. Archery, wrestling. I love the wrestling. I love to watch wrestling. And it's funny because I never carried anything into or any kind of wrestling like that until my oldest son started wrestling in middle school. Knew nothing about it. I was lost. I didn't know nothing. And within a month, I knew every way to score. I knew every move because I was watching it. Yeah. And ever since then, I enjoy it. It's not as fun as watching your own kid out there on the mat with somebody one-on-one and pulling for them, but it's I guess because I learned so much about it then, I've learned to enjoy it now and just like
you knew it.
But
you knew what you were watching.
Yeah. but I don't watch it like just on a collegiate level. You know, like
exactly.
Whatever school versus whatever school. But in the Olympics, I love to watch it. But it's like I said, in women's volleyball and swimming, that's probably my favorite four. What I say, four? Yeah, that's probably my top four to watch during the summer.
Yeah, definitely more into the Winter Olympics. So glad those are coming up in just a few months again. That's going to be interesting. But we just out of the Summer Olympics and we got the Winter Olympics starting in February, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we watched a lot. Like I said, we watched a lot of we watched a lot of that almost every night. Like I said, watched like fencing, and then there's like the triathlon. There was something where they were out on little like sailboats, and they were like trying to maneuver and get to it was like a little sailboat race or something. Yeah. There was something that it was called the like slalom. It was like whitewater rafting or something. They were in like little canoes and you had rapids and all that. It's good stuff. It was good stuff.
I did catch the I forget what they call it, but it was the men's canoe. It was this last week. I didn't sit down to watch it. It just happened to be on in a restaurant where we went to eat and for lunch. And those guys, when they're paddling those boats, even the single ones, I ain't talking about like the 4-man or whatever, but the single ones, when they pull those paddles through the water for them canoes, them jokers are getting they're getting air. Their shoulders got to be massive.
Yeah, that's some upper body strength right there.
And they're doing it for a whole mile.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, some of the things, like I said, you go through these things and you look at them and you're like, think of how much better the worst one of those folks is than you are at just about anything in your life. It's just, I mean, we were the very last night. It was like the rhythmic gymnastics. And, they're not like necessarily stick and ball sport athletes, but it's very similar to like that cheerleading and all that. And I mean, people want to clown on them and say they're not athletes or something, but I mean, look at what they do. Ain't none of us can do that.
I ain't flipping in no air and jumping no.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, I loved. We love the Olympics, and definitely, I'm definitely more into the winter games. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I actually found my USA hockey shirt today.
You know what? And it's funny because I've never really watched a whole lot of hockey until last year. So that's one of the things I'm actually looking forward to this year is the hockey and Olympics and watching some of that.
Yeah, it's over there. I don't remember where it is. Is it in? So these were in Tokyo. The winter games are somewhere over that way too. I don't know if they're in China. So it's going to be the whole like 12-hour difference. It's going to be real weird. But oh well, what are you going to do? It'll come up. Boy, we got really random on this one today.
Oh yeah, we've been all over the board, and it's fine. It's whatever. But
people are still talking in the chat, so nobody's left us, I don't think.
No, we're doing good. We're doing good. Maybe we should just skip every other week. We get more people interested. No. Was it before? You know what? And I'm really trying to figure out. Or I was thinking. Me and my wife were talking about this the other day. When it comes to Winter Olympics, before they put curling into the Olympics, I can't remember what I ever really watched in the Winter Olympics except for the slalom, or not slalom, bobsled. That's about the only.
Bobsledding, skiing, ice skating, all of that. I mean, I love so much of that.
Now we did watch ice skating. But I mean that's got its own reasons. But anyway, but
I think the reason people I think I figured out the reason people like curling so much. Because you look at some of them and you're like, that guy looks like me. I can do that.
I mean, dad bod, dog. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they just they look like they were just sitting on the sofa eating potato chips 20 minutes ago before they came out. I think that's why people like curling so much.
Yeah, dad bod and just beer gut and whatever. Just
it's my hypothesis. Prove me wrong.
Slide a piece of granite down the ice and make it stop in a certain spot. I think Bo told us one time that he actually had a league somewhere around where he lived, a curling league.
That doesn't ring a bell to me. I definitely hear that story if true.
But we would never have nothing like that around here. But yeah, what year was when Herschel Walker was in the bobsledding team?
I do remember him doing something with that. I couldn't tell you what it was.
They wanted him because of his leg power and speed. That basically he was the anchor guy. He was the last guy in the bobsled pushing. I do remember that, and I remember them interviewing him and saying that was the whole reason for wanting him. Yeah.
Now, did he make the Olympic team or something?
Yeah, he was there.
Okay. Is there any man that's done more things than him between Olympic bobsledding, obviously football? He was a MMA fighter.
Opening up restaurants.
Well, I was just being on the sports themselves. He's like the world's most interesting man.
I'm telling you right now, this guy right here has got a chicken place in Atlanta that is off the chain.
I don't think I'll ever visit Atlanta, but man, I love me some chicken. So if I ever have to check that out.
Chicken and waffles.
I've never had chicken and waffles in my life. Which, looking at me, you would not think that was an accurate statement, but it is.
Yep. And so what else has he done? Well, now he's getting into politics.
Oh, geez.
He says he's going to run for governor of Georgia.
I mean, he's Herschel Walker. He should be able to win that in a landslide.
I was going to say, if you're Herschel Walker and you run for anything in the state of Georgia, it's almost got to be a gimme.
We get Herschel Walker to
Herschel
Walker could be the governor there, and then Barkley to be the governor over in Alabama.
He won't take Alabama and Decatur in that area because that's Georgia Tech fans. They are not going to pay for it. Republican, Democrat, that don't matter. You're either a Georgia fan or a Georgia Tech fan over here, so that's how it's going to play out.
Oh, yeah. No, I know how it works down there. Remember, I was born in Birmingham, and I got family down there. I know how it works down in that part, your part of the country.
Yeah. Yep. You're either Tech or you're Georgia. Of course, in the town I live in, we border South Carolina, so we've got a ration of Clemson fans over here, and then we got a few bandwagon Alabama fans that jumped on the bandwagon a few years ago.
So who were the Clemson fans of 10 years ago?
Yeah, I don't know because I didn't know who they were then. They didn't start coming out. They didn't start coming out of the woodworks until about 6 years ago.
Yeah, I'm betting when Clemson was Clemsoning, they weren't big fans.
Nah.
What did we beat them? 70-21 or something. We beat them in the Sugar Bowl.
I don't remember.
We do real good in the Sugar Bowl. We also beat Georgia a few years ago when Greg Blue said he was going to teach us what SEC speed was.
Yep, I remember that.
I remember that. What's he doing these days?
Is he Colorado? No. Where did he go?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think he never really did much, but.
Well, no, he's head coaching somewhere.
Greg Blue?
Greg Blue. Never mind. I'm thinking about Mike Bobo. Never mind.
No, Greg Blue, the safety or whatever, said y'all were gonna show us what SEC speed was. That went well.
Yeah, they showed.
Good job.
They did show. Who was it?
We're about to be in the American Athletic Conference, so I got to take whatever small victories I can get.
Well, hey, all right, you talking conference? Let me talk about something for a minute. You've heard that Texas and Oklahoma is wanting to come to SEC.
Why we'll be in the American? Yeah,
they've already told the Big 12 that they wouldn't be renewing their deal in 2025.
25. Mm-hmm.
You've already got Texas A&M and that other. God, I can't. Why? I don't know why I can't think of their name.
Missouri.
You've already got Texas A&M and Missouri in the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. And now you're considering bringing Texas and Oklahoma over in here. So at what point do you change the name? It's no longer Southeastern Conference. I mean, Louisiana or LSU is already pushing the boundaries of Southeastern.
And Arkansas.
But you've got, Arkansas. Yeah, I give you that. But
and Kentucky.
Texas teams, no, that's I would figure that I would consider that Southeastern. Well, now granted, LSU is not as far mid-U.S. or Midwestern or whatever as like Texas, but still, at some point, you're just going to have to change the name because it's no longer Southeastern Conference.
Oh, it's not. The Atlantic Coast Conference isn't really the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Nope.
None of them are.
You're going to have
the Big Ten. You got the Big 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 22.
It's about 7 years you're gonna have two, maybe three conferences. Two maybe at the most.
Sounds about right. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna be in like the American Athletic Conference or something. So I gotta take my small victories while I can get them.
Yeah, Bo says it hasn't been a Big Ten in a few decades, and he's right. It all comes down to teams like Texas and Oklahoma. They're wanting to jump into SEC because they feel like SEC gets more recognition than where they're at. They feel like if they can come over here and beat teams like Georgia, Alabama, Florida on a good year, and teams like that, then they'll get more recognition and kind of get a bump up in. I am not a big SEC homer because I don't feel like, yes, you have 3 or 4 teams in the SEC that are usually always up pretty high, but you can't give the entire SEC conference credit for being powerhouses. Not when you
especially when you consider the out of conference schedules are poor. They don't travel out of the Southeast footprint, but I don't know if I appreciate that you actually look at it at more of a rational level, but I'm not going to sit here and and talk trash about the SEC.
No, I agree because, like I said, it's you can't look at the entire SEC conference as being a powerhouse when you have. I mean, you've got 2, maybe 3 teams in the entire conference that are more of a top tier team every year. Yeah, they're blowing through the SEC and beating teams like Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee, whatever. But look at the Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee teams that they're beating. They're nobody.
Exactly.
Florida on a down year or down years. I mean, Florida used to be something, but you can't judge them now on what they were 10 years ago when Tebow was there.
But that works for Notre Dame. They talk about what they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's the whole thing needs to be revamped, if you ask me. And I kind of can go with like the 2-tier or the 2 conference deal. Play more people.
I just want to close out with saying I liked hearing what the old Bolt coach said, Spurrier, and I'm not exactly quoting him. I'm kind of taking it. He said, "Yeah, if you're Texas and if you're already struggling in the Big 12, why not over to the SEC and struggle? Because it's not going to get any easier for them." Although I will say that was something I found fascinating about Texas A&M. They were always a middle tier team in the Big 12. And when they went to the SEC, all of a sudden they were a powerhouse. It didn't look real good for the SEC, although the SEC people wouldn't admit it.
Well, and now they look to be on the way up. Like, people better watch out this year for Texas A&M.
But they could never do it the 12.
They were right there last year. They were right there at the end, but we'll see. All right, well,
we will. One month away. 1 month away.
We're at our hour, and we went way off topic and didn't talk about half stuff we said we were going to. But
it happens.
Yeah, and Dan just joined us.
Wah, wah, wah.
So, all right, guys, we're going to hop off. We appreciate you joining, and I am going to do my best to make sure we get back on here next Monday and not have any more, late night workings or whatever. But it is summertime, and we'll have to see. But, we'll see y'all next week, and thanks for joining.
Hey, horns down.
Horns down. Horns down. Okay. All right.